Alright. I think I am live. Yep. Alright. Thank you. Hello, Josh. How are you doing today? Is the music too loud or is it good? Yo, I am also here. Hello, Crash. How are you guys? Let me know if the music's too loud. I did mess with the settings yesterday. after day before yesterday's stream. So before I start off, 1 unit lower. Do you want me to go lower, or you want me to? You want me to go lower? Okay. All right. Is that better? Probably. Yeah. Okay. Before I start off, I just wanted to tell that going forward, instead of streaming every single day, because I realized that it's taking a toll on me a little bit. I have a very specific social limit for a day, and seems like streaming and also doing daily activities is going a little overboard for my social limits in a day, you know. So I will be streaming every alternate day, so that way I'm still covering every single day of the week, just every other day instead of every day. Probably for the best to take breaks in that case. Yeah. All right. Well, in that case, I'd like to start for today. Welcome to the stream, all of you, the two of you, and if people are lurking, then you guys. This is your safe point, a safe zone for your mind and your heart. I'm Pixel, your Nee-Chan. Nee-Chan. I pronounced it weirdly, and it sounded like I'm your brother. I'm not. I'm your sister. Nee-Chan is basically older sister in Japanese. I'm also your emotional support mage and cozy chaos navigator. Let's chill, heal, and maybe level up a bit today. Yep, Nee-Chan it is. Today I've got like a different idea for the stream. I wanted to take some real life situations and talk about that, right? So before we dive into the stories for today, I just want to give you a quick heads up. We're going to be talking about relationships, cheating, emotional betrayal, and tough family dynamics. So if any of these topics feel heavy or triggering for you, please take care of yourself. Your mental health comes first. Always. You can always choose to leave the stream anytime you want. Everything I share today is just my take. A mix of psychology, empathy, and some good old common sense, but I'm not here to be the judge, jury, or therapist. We're here to reflect together, not to cancel anybody. These stories are about real human messiness, and whether we agree or not, we approach them with curiosity and not cruelty. All right? Did you get your emotional armor on? Can we press start? Let me know in the chat if you'd like that. Can we press start? Yep. Okay. So I messed with the settings again. Give me a second. There you go. Can you see it? You see the story? I took it from Reddit. You don't know where you'll be because of work. That's fine. All right. So we'll start off with this first story that we got. And it is from the subreddit, Am I the A-hole? I will not use the word. So bear with me. But also, I need to open up the image so I can read it. Give me 1 second. Here. All right, I got the image in front of me. We can start. And AITA, let me get those are always enjoyable. Yes, sir, they are. All right. Am I the a-hole? This is from user Pew Pew Little Cat. All right. Am I the a-hole for refusing to serve my family at a function, even though they call me lazy in front of everyone? Ooh. So, I, 21-year-old female, recently attended a family gathering at my uncle's house. It was a kind of get-together with extended family I hadn't seen in a while. I'm currently studying full-time and working part-time as a barista, so I'm always exhausted. But I showed up because my mom begged me to make an appearance. The moment I got there, one of my aunts immediately told me, "Go help in the kitchen." I politely said I just got there and I would help in a bit. 10 minutes later, another aunt asked me to serve drinks to the men in the living room. I laughed and said, "They're all grown. They can grab their own drinks." She looked scandalized and muttered something about how today's girls have no manners. Sorry, this seems like such an Indian family to me. I didn't mean to laugh in the middle, sorry. Alright. Anyway, I was just sitting and talking with a cousin when my mom came over, visibly angry. She pulled me aside and hissed, "What's wrong with you? Everyone's talking. They say you've become too modern and lazy. At least act like you were raised properly." This is almost every single Asian family at the moment. That's the vibe I'm getting. That annoyed me because 1, I'm not a servant, and 2, none of the boys were my age were being asked to do anything. They were just sitting, eating, and cracking jokes while all the women, even the ones older than me, were cooking, serving, and cleaning up. I snapped and said, "If they think I'm lazy because I won't play waitress, then let them think that. I came here to spend time with family, not work like I'm at a wedding. Like I'm staff at a wedding." Then I sat down and did nothing for the rest of the evening, just scrolled my phone. Now I'm being called disrespectful, lazy, too proud, and apparently I embarrassed my mom in front of everyone. Am I the a-hole for refusing to help at a function? Ooh. So the reason I started giggling in the middle is because I kind of understand how exhausting family dynamics can be. Um, First of all, I just want to validate how draining and confusing situations like this can be. Um, I'm just gonna when I talk to these stories, I'm gonna use you like I'm talking to the person who wrote them. Okay. I hope that's okay with everybody else. I'm not gonna be talking in third person. I'm gonna treat them like they told that story to me, right? All right. You showed up to a family event already tired from balancing full time studies and part time work. And instead of being welcomed, you were almost immediately put into a role that definitely wasn't mutually agreed upon, right? Now that can feel not just frustrating, but absolutely disheartening, especially when the expectations are clearly gendered and unequal, right? So let's look at this a little closer. What you experienced is unfortunately a very common example of gender role expectations in family systems, especially in the more um, traditional or collectivistic cultures. The assumption that women, regardless of age, commitments, or consent, should serve, cook, or clean while the men relax is a form of internalized gender bias. Um, for example, imagine a 23-year-old man arriving late to a family function and being immediately asked to mow the lawn or fix the lights just because he's a man. It would be unfair, right? But somehow, women being expected to serve is normalized. This bias kind of becomes a very silent script that many families operate by without even realizing that it's outdated and unfair. What you did, saying no politely, then eventually setting a firmer boundary when you were pushed, is a healthy response. It may not have felt nice or obedient, but those aren't the same as being emotionally mature or fair. So, setting boundaries will normally trigger guilt in people pleasers or those raised in environments where helpfulness equals worthiness. But you weren't being lazy. You were choosing not to participate in an unbalanced system that only asks women to prove their value by serving others. Um, I'll just give you a very small therapy insight. Um, Boundaries are to do with self respect, not rebellion. They protect your energy and sense of identity, especially when you're being treated very unfairly. Your mom's reaction is also worth pausing over. It sounds like she was less upset about what you did and more upset about how others might have perceived her parenting. This is um this is called, oh god, the word is stuck in my head. Intergenerational. Intergenerational pressure. Older generations sometimes they fear judgment more than they value justice because they were raised in environments where reputation is equal to survival. So in therapy, I've heard clients say things like, "My mom always sided with my aunts at family events, even when I was right, just to keep the peace." This doesn't mean that she doesn't love you. It just means that she's trapped between what she knows is right and what she's being conditioned to value. So you mentioned that even older women were doing chores while men relaxed. Now, that's not just unfair, it leads to something called role fatigue. I don't know if you've heard that term before. This is when people constantly fulfill a role, like the helpful niece, a helpful niece, or the good daughter, until it breeds some form of resentment, anxiety, or even burnout. Now, choosing not to participate in that dynamic, it may have caused a ripple now, but long term, it's more like a step towards reshaping the narrative in your family. Think of it this way, right? You're not the villain in the story. You're the one asking, why is this even a rule in the first place? If you're feeling conflicted now, which is completely natural, and want to reconnect with your mom or smooth things over without surrendering your stance, you could probably try something like this. "I didn't mean to embarrass you. I just didn't feel it was fair to be expected to serve while the men weren't asked to help. I want to show up as myself, not just as someone fulfilling outdated roles. Can we, maybe find a middle ground next time?" It's honest, it takes ownership of the impact, but not the blame that's there. And since you asked, am I the a hole? Nope, you are not the a hole in this situation. You're a young woman navigating complex, very deeply rooted family expectations with grace and courage. Your refusal to help wasn't really a rejection of your family. It was just a rejection of a role that didn't feel respectful or balanced. You should actually give yourself credit. You're kind of advocating for fairness and not fighting your family. Um, Boundaries may disappoint others, but they protect you, and that's kind of always worth it. Um, yeah, I think you're doing great. What do you guys think about the situation? Do you think she's doing great? Let me know in the chat. Oops. All right, I've got the next story up. Was that too heavy? Are y'all doing good? If you're still here, let me know. If you're just lurking, that's all right as well. All right, the next one is called Am I the a-hole for saying no to my friend for the art they gave me? Okay, let's look at this. So about 10 months ago, my friend gave me 3 little artwork pieces that they thought were really ugly and they hated. I absolutely adore them and I think they're very pretty. So I have them in my living room. And so I redecorated my living room and rearranged everything so I could have these paintings in a very specific spot. One day, uh, am I lagging? I feel I think I'm lagging. Am I lagging or am I okay? Can anybody confirm? All right. I think I'm lagging. I'm not sure. If anybody is here, just let me know before I go into the story. All right. I hope it's fixed. I'm not really sure. Okay. One day they were over, and one of my friends that they have yet to meet until that day was over as well. My other friend, who did not give me the artwork, looked up at the art pieces through Google Lens because they also liked them and wanted to get some for themselves. That friend found out that the artwork that was given to me was worth $1,000 per piece. And I said, wow, that's an insane price. So the friend who gave me the art pieces told me that I needed to give them back to him. And he started taking him off the wall, and I said, absolutely not. You gave those to me. He started yelling at me because I wouldn't give them back. Then he said, I better pay him $3,000 for all of them. And I said, no, because you gifted them to me almost a year ago. So he told me that he was going to call the police, and he left because me and my other friend kicked him out. All right. This one brings up a whole gallery of psychological themes for me. Themes like boundaries, entitlement, gift giving, etiquette, and emotional maturity. So, what actually happened here? You received a gift, 3 pieces of art from a friend who, at the time, didn't value them. You, on the other hand, cherished them deeply, even went so far as to redesign your living room around them. That shows how emotionally meaningful these pieces became to you. Now, fast forward 10 months, the original giver discovers their ugly art is actually worth $1,000 per piece. Suddenly, they want it back, either by reclaiming it physically or demanding payment. They had no problem parting with them until they realized they were valuable. Um, Now let's look at this, right? Gift giving is actually supposed to be a one-way street. In psychology, especially in interpersonal dynamics, once something is gifted, it no longer belongs to the giver. That's foundational, right? It's not a loan, it's not a lease, it's not a hold on to this until I change my mind kind of thing. It's a transfer of ownership, plain and simple, right? For example, if I gift a friend a book that later becomes a signed first edition worth $10,000, I might regret giving it, but I don't get to demand it back. Your friend's attempt to take the artwork off your wall was frankly I look at it as a violation of personal boundaries. Just because they regretted giving it doesn't mean you're obligated to undo the gift. The moment your friend realized the value of the art, his behavior shifted from very casual to actually controlling. Now, this brings up the issue that we see a lot around us, which is entitlement. The belief that he deserves special treatment or the ability to rewrite the past. Now, people kind of usually mask entitlement as justice, but justice is more to do with fairness, not retroactively erasing a choice that you regret. The fair thing here, he gave the art willingly, and you cherished it. And that's the end of the transaction. His behavior, like yelling, demanding money, threatening police, these things point to like a lack of emotional regulation. That's not just about the art, it's about how he handled stress, disappointment, or some form of perceived loss over here. Um, like in the previous story, boundaries are your way of saying, I matter too. You clearly expressed, these were a gift. I've treasured them. You don't get to take them back. And that's not cold, that's clear, right? The fact that another friend stepped in and backed you up by kicking him out, that's actually a good sign. It means others saw this wasn't just about paintings, it was about respect. Think of it like this: you're not defending some random object, you're defending your right to not be manipulated after the fact. Right, it should lag less, I hope. I have too many things open. I think that's probably why it's lagging. Or it's just my model that's lagging, I'm not sure. Alright. Another thing I wanted to say was it's human to feel regret. Your friend might be embarrassed that, something he dismissed turned out to be actually valuable. He might even feel foolish, and that's okay. But that doesn't entitle him to act out or rewrite history. Um, you can validate someone's feelings without validating their actions. So, for instance, um, you could say something like, I get that you're shocked at their value, but you gave them to me. That doesn't change. So this will help the other person feel heard without compromising you guys' stance, right? Um, are you the a-hole? Nope, not even close. You're not responsible for someone else's short-sightedness. You received a gift, loved it, and now you're being put in a very awkward position because the giver has regrets that are tied to financial value, not emotional connection. Um, what you did was asserting a healthy boundary in a situation that suddenly turned very transactional. You didn't yell, demand anything, or even retaliate. You stood your ground and refused to be bullied. Gifts that are given in love or even indifference, they don't come with a return policy. If someone regrets giving you something because it turned out to be valuable, that's their lesson, not your obligation. You're allowed to love what you were given. You're allowed to protect your space, e- whether emotionally or physically. You're allowed to say no. And honestly, I think you handled it with more grace than many would have. What do you guys think about this story? All right, I think my model's the one that's lagging a lot, and I'm not really lagging. Um, Maybe that has to do with this, probably. I hope it's getting better. I hope it's not too laggy. Very mature of the friend? Yeah, seems that way. Alright, we'll do a couple of more, and then we'll see where to take it. I need to change this case study that we've got on here. Alright, here it is. Alright. Alright, here's the next one. Are you able to see it? This one is by the user Traditional Egg 3967. Alright. My girlfriend said she's not proud to introduce me to her friends because of my job. Am I overreacting for wanting to pull back from the relationship? I, 24-year-old male, have been dating my girlfriend, 26-year-old female, for almost a year. She's amazing, smart, driven, getting her grad degree in clinical psychology. Welcome to the club, I guess. Her friends are all in that same academic bubble, and her family's pretty status focused. I didn't finish college and work full time as a mechanic. I actually really like my job. I make solid money, and I'm proud of how far I've come without a degree. Anyway, she invited me to a dinner party this weekend to meet her friends. I was excited. It felt like a step forward. But right before we left, she got really quiet and finally said, "Just try not to bring up work too much, okay? They can be a little judgy." I didn't even know how to respond. Then she added, "It's not that I'm not proud of you. I just don't want you to feel awkward or out of place." That really hit me. I kept it together, but the whole night I felt off. I barely talked. It just felt like I was being prejudged before even walking in the door. When we got back to her place, I told her how much that hurt, um, that it felt like she was embarrassed of me. She said I was twisting things and making it bigger than it was. "I just want you to be the best version of yourself," she said. Since then, I've been distant. She's acting normal, but I can't shake how it made me feel. I don't know if I'm being too sensitive or if this is something I shouldn't just brush off. Am I overreacting? Right, what do you think, chat? I think that you're not overreacting. You're feeling something real. And as a counseling psychologist, I want to help unpack that, right? A job does not define a person, but feeling defined by it hurts. You've been dating someone you clearly admire, smart, driven, on a professional track you respect, and you too are proud of your journey. Being a mechanic is skilled, essential work. You work hard, you make solid money, and feel accomplished. Um, and rightly so. That pride is earned. I was gonna ask, what does 1,005 mean? All right. So when your girlfriend hints that your job might make you feel, you know, might make you not fit in, it naturally feels very personal because whether she meant it or not, she linked your work to your worth. Let's talk about what's really going on here. All right. Um, there's something called preemptive shame. So her saying, try not to talk about work too much. They can be a little judgy. Um, that was framed as a concern for you, but the subtext is kind of louder here. I'm nervous about how others will see you and maybe how that reflects on me. Even if she didn't intend to shame you, that comment that she made kind of communicates anticipatory embarrassment. That stings. It places you in a very defensive position before you've even met anyone. When you experienced something like this, in therapy, we call it a kind of social micro rejection. It's very subtle, but it hits hard because it suggests that you're not good enough for this room. Um, she said, "I'm not embarrassed of you. I just don't want you to feel out of place." This is a classic emotional deflection, if you ask me. Instead of owning her discomfort, she shifts it onto you, um, while kind of wrapping it to be like care. But let's ask this right. So, was it really about protecting you from judgment or protecting herself from associating with that particular judgment? You need to notice that her concern wasn't about your discomfort until after she brought up the "don't talk about work" part. Now, that just makes me feel like the discomfort really belonged to her. You didn't finish college, your work, you do with your hands. Her friends are academics and her family is status oriented. These are just facts, but unfortunately, in social settings, these facts can get very unfairly weighed. What hurts more isn't her friends possibly judging you, it's that she might agree with them, even if it's just a little. That's why your gut is saying something is off. Um, I can give you an example from one of my clients. I spoke with a client who was in the reverse situation. They were from a working class background, dating into an academic family. Uh, what helped them was, identifying what they brought into the relationship. Things like emotional intelligence or practical wisdom or reliability. Those are just as important as your degrees or titles. You've got value that literally no dinner party can take away. And I need you to know that. You're not just upset about the event itself, you're noticing a change in how you relate. You're more distant. She's acting like things are normal. That mismatch is something that's worth paying attention to. Emotions like these don't just fade, they pile up silently. And if they are not addressed, if your partner minimizes your pain, that's not being too sensitive, that's definitely a flag. Um, Let me be clear, right? No, you are not overreacting. You're responding to a moment that made you feel small in a place where you should ideally feel safe. And when you expressed it to her, instead of sitting in that discomfort and acknowledging it, she shifted the blame. You're making it a bigger deal. Now that's invalidating and it makes emotional repair a lot harder. So, what can you actually do now? Um, you can try to have one more honest conversation. Say something like, hey, it's not about what you said, it's more to do with how it made me feel, about where I stand with you. I don't want to feel like a hidden part of your life. Now, this will open up space for truth. If she's truly not ashamed of you, she'll show it. If she is, it's better to know now. Um, Another thing you could do is ask yourself a couple of questions. Um, do I feel like I can show up as me in this relationship? Do I feel like she celebrates me the way I celebrate her? Am I shrinking myself to fit into her world? Those are some questions that you can ask yourself. You can also see if you um, can redefine pride in partnership, right? You need someone who introduces you with pride, not with disclaimers. Love is not about degrees or LinkedIn profiles. It's more it's to do with respect. And respect includes your work, your journey, your values. You're not too sensitive. You're very self aware. You caught a moment that many people just brush off, only to look back and realize that it was the start of feeling unseen. You deserve someone who will say, this is my person. He works hard, he's kind, and I'm so lucky to have him. And if that's not the vibe she's giving you, then it's okay to reevaluate. It's not because you're insecure, but because you value that mutual pride that you have. You've done nothing wrong by listening to that little voice inside saying, hey, I deserve better. I think that that voice is wise and you gotta keep listening to it. What do you think, chat? I don't know if you're still here. Um, Let me know if you are. We'll do one more and then spot on. Oh, thank you. Um, we'll do one more and then we'll see if we have time to do another one, then we'll do that. Or else we'll do it in the next time that we have this kind of a session, right? The next Saturday that we meet on. All right, let's see this one. Am I overreacting for calling off the wedding after my fiance kissed another guy on her bachelorette trip and lied about it? I'm 32 and was supposed to get married in 2 months. My fiance is 30. Last week, she went on what she described as a chill girls trip for her bachelorette party. She told me it was going to be just 4 of her closest friends, wine tasting, spa stuff, and a private chef at the Airbnb. I had no issues with it. I even helped her pick the place. A couple of days after she got back, I got a random Instagram message from some guy saying that my fiance was all over another man during her trip. I ignored it and blocked him. I figured it was someone trying to stir the pot. Then I got an email from the Airbnb host. They thought I was the one who booked the place and asked if we wanted to leave a review. They also attached a few ring camera photos from the porch as a heads up since a few extra guests stopped by. In one of the photos, my fiance is clearly kissing a shirtless guy outside at 2 a.m. I confronted her. She first denied anything happened and then finally admitted it after I showed her the photo. She said it was a dare and that she was drunk and it meant nothing. She says I'm overreacting and that I should not throw everything away over one stupid moment. I called off the wedding. Her friends are messaging me saying I'm being extreme and that every bachelor party gets wild and it doesn't mean she loves me any less. Her mom even said I'm embarrassing the family by overreacting. Is it really that crazy to end the relationship over this? I feel like if she could do that and then lie to my face, marriage is out of the question. Am I overreacting? What do you think, chat? Hello, Kankan. Welcome, welcome. How are you? All right. Huh. One stupid moment. That line is sticking in my head right now. You were just 2 months away from marrying this woman, someone you clearly trusted enough to help plan her bachelorette trip. You didn't really even bat an eye when she said it would be a quiet celebration, and that speaks to the level of faith you had in her. So when that trust was fractured, not just by the action, but by the lie that followed, it shook the entire structure of your relationship, and rightly so. This isn't really just about the kiss, right? She kissed someone else. That alone is a violation of boundaries, whether drunk or not. You don't just accidentally kiss someone. That requires things like proximity, intent, and a moment of just letting go of commitment. She lied about it. When you confronted her, her first instinct wasn't really remorse, it was denial. Only when you showed her evidence did she even own up to it. That's not accountability. That's called self preservation. She also minimized it, calling it just a dare, drunken fun, or one stupid moment. And that's a deflection that is not an apology. It doesn't matter that it meant nothing to her, it meant everything to you. Um, so in therapy, we always ask, does the person take full responsibility or do they only admit what they've been caught doing? And that difference kind of matters a lot to us. Mm, what you're doing here is not really overreacting. You're trying to protect your future. Um, Marriage isn't just about love. Um, you have safety, security, and trust. If she could betray you, lie to your face, gaslight you by saying that you're blowing out of proportion, um, let others, even her mom, gang up on you instead of defending your hurt, then how can you confidently build a future or a life with her? Um, you're not throwing everything away over one kiss. You're actually recognizing that the person you thought you knew may not be someone you can trust forever. Um, Her mom said that you were embarrassing the family. Let's talk about that for a second. Her family and friends may be trying to guilt trip you by reframing this as you causing a scene. That's very manipulative. You didn't create the situation, she did. You reacted in a calm, direct way, not by lashing out, but by walking away from a betrayal. That's not embarrassing. That's you having standards for yourself. What you are doing is painful, yes, but it's also very brave. You're choosing not to settle. You're refusing to enter a lifelong commitment with someone who showed you, through both action as well as inaction, that your trust wasn't sacred to them. So you don't have to explain yourself to anyone beyond this. Um, you deserve a relationship where honesty is automatic and your partner protects your heart even when you're not looking. And I think that you're living that truth right now. So are you really overreacting? Not at all. I think that you're responding with maturity to betrayal. You're honoring your own worth. You're refusing to let gaslighting or social pressure convince you to ignore a red flag, the size of a billboard, that is. Um, Ending a wedding is not really easy, but it's a hell lot easier than enduring years of distrust or dishonesty. And it didn't mean anything kind of excuses. You did the right thing, and I don't think you should doubt it. What do you think, chat? Not heard that voice in ages. I'm good though. I'm doing good. I'm doing great. I've just been on here streaming every day. Um Trying to stream every day, but it seems to be wearing me out. So going forward I'll be streaming every other day. But that's how I'm doing. All right, let's go back to this. Okay, I think we saw some cool stories today. Reddit's got some really cool stories. I have opened a channel in the Discord server so that you guys can put your own stories there, and then I can give you my perspective as a counseling psychologist as well as a coach. Um, and you can probably see if that makes sense to you. Hopefully, that helps you. Um, if you haven't joined the Discord server yet, go ahead and do that. Um, you can also follow me on my other socials. I'm just putting up my link tree. There you go. That is my link tree. So go ahead and join it. See where you want to follow me. I'm doing a bunch of stuff. Thank you. Thank you for pinning. All right. Since we're doing it every other day, the next time I stream will be on Monday. All right. So thank you so much for stopping by today. Today's save point, that is. Whether you spoke up or just quietly existed in the background, I still see you, and I'm really, really proud of you for being here. Healing doesn't really follow a straight line, and neither does leveling up. So it's okay if all you did today was just breathe. That's more than enough. I'll be right here at the next checkpoint. Same place, same energy, whenever you're ready to drop by again. Until then, please be kind to yourself, be kind to your heart, drink your potions, especially water, and don't forget that you're still the main character in the story. Alright, Pixel out.